issue. It's not about hunting. Our own Mayor Bloomberg is doing everything in his power to disarm, not just him, but a lot of people. But the idea of protecting your family, of yourself. She was in her home. And the very fact that there are people, Alex Jones, on this planet who want to debate the legitimacy of her defending her baby. She wasn't out robbing anybody. She used a firearm to successfully keep these people.
Well, I mean, there was another case a few months ago in California. They said she should be arrested. You know, the woman calls the police. The person is busting in, you know, has the weapon. Turns out they're, you know, long criminal history. She shoots him. And then there was a debate about should she have done what she did. And when he's coming in, she shoots him once, twice, three times. She was asking permission. And here's this woman, again, asking permission. If somebody's coming in your house with a big knife, I mean, my God.
You know, Alex, there's a couple of things here, and I get, you know, the beautiful part about your show. You and I are very much alike. I had a program director one time who says, you know, you veer. And I love that. And the great word is desultory. We're like human pachinko machines. We carom. You say something and we go somewhere else, and certain things will inspire different thought. But this is something that just goes to show you, and I'm going to tie in Dr. Paul. The Constitution, the Second Amendment, has nothing to do about hunting. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with plinking. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with going out and shooting cans off of a wooden fence. It has to do with the fundamental ability of the citizenry, number one, to defend itself against the onslaught of a rogue government. This is the basis of our country. That's number one. But number two, and you don't need the Constitution for this, it is common sense. It is axiomatic. It is obvious that when somebody poses a threat to you, and there are different, you know, and Alex, we can argue, you know, if you're in your car, if we're at a stoplight, was I menacing? Could I have pummeled a man of your brawn and girth? That's okay. When a woman is in her home, in a mobile home, by the way, not exactly the strongest of construction, you can presume that somebody means something nefarious. In addition, I want people within the sound of our voice to ask whether they have a castle doctrine in their home, in their state, whether they have the stand your ground doctrine, because a little bit of law, you know, normally you have to retreat. And it's common sense. You know, the law says, look, if you can possibly get away for your own good and also to prevent.
But if you're in your badger hole, there's nowhere else you can go.
And honey badger don't care. That's all I got to say. I'm sorry, Alex. I have hijacked the show heretofore, and I apologize. I am contrite, sir.
Well, I love it when you veer into the Second Amendment. I've got a lot of questions for you, but, you know, I see this all the time. But in England, where they've really expanded on this victim disarmament deal, I've seen cases where a thief falls through the window, the skylight, and so you're then charged. Or where a woman is being raped and the guy turns around and she shoves him, you know, out a balcony window 3 stories, and she's indicted. Or the farmer has a 3-generation hidden shotgun the third time he's robbed and beaten up, so he shoots a guy with a shotgun, and they vitriolically send him to jail. This shows you have a criminal government that wants to fully rout the instinct of good people to defend themselves.
You know, Alex, years ago, when I was in Florida, or as I call it, Florida, which is different from where people vacation. But I mean, we're talking, you know, Hillsborough County, Lafayette, you know, but we're talking very serious hunters and cattlemen. And in Florida is not what people think. But in 1988 or 89, there was a glitch in the law when they passed this new Chapter 790, this new weapon statute. They did not have, for reasons nobody ever understood, but they did not replace a statute that prevented people from carrying basically 6 shooters down the street. So for 8 or 9 days, until they could call an emergency session in, for 8 or 9 days in the state of Florida, it was legal to walk down the street with revolvers and holding a shotgun, because remember, the law prefers that you not conceal a weapon. So for 8 days or 9 days, don't hold me to it, but for a period of time, at least a week, in the state of Florida, it looked like Dodge City. So, well, you would have therefore seen a concomitant a rise in crime. On the contrary, people at convenience stores were saying, come on in, coffee's on the house. Alex, who in their right mind decides, you know what, honey, I can wear my pearl-handled revolver on my hip. I'm going to rob a bank today. I'm going to commit that crime I've always wanted to do. Why? Because the only thing, Alex, that was keeping me from robbing that bank, from menacing that couple, was I could not legally purchase a firearm or wear one. But now that I can, I'm going to do something. I mean, it defies all logic.
But I've got to say, though, Lionel, this is one of the few areas where we've actually gotten traction. And I've seen the polls. People are now figuring out guns really are good. They really do lower crime, and it really is the answer. No amount of demonization will fix it. Briefly, because I want to get into NDAA, Ron Paul.
Yes,
clear evidence now they admit election fraud in Iowa, but we're supposed to just move on. But I want to get your take on Fast and Furious. I mean, now the Attorney General's been caught perjuring. Now they've been caught shipping guns into Mexico. If you read the fine print in the cases, it's drugs back into the U.S., money laundering, everything. I mean, is this on the radar screen when you're on television every day on Channel 11 or twice a day?
No. In fact, it is with me. Now, understand, the great people at Pix 11, we do, local news and sports and that kind of thing, too. But the reason why you're not going to see this is that the tenor of this is set by the Ted Baxter, sock puppet, cookie cutter, echo chamber, bumper sticker, playbook media. They are defanged, impuissant, castrated geldings. They wouldn't dare bring this up. And I don't know if it comes from on high. I don't know. You're not going to hear this on MSDNC. You're not going to hear this on NBC. Nobody seems, it's as though, Alex, for some reason, this is off limits. I don't know who sets this. Now, maybe if it was a different time, but what I don't understand is simply this. Why aren't the Republicans themselves? I don't think it's just NBC or MSNBC or CBS. I don't know if everybody is told, shh, keep this quiet, because maybe there's implications to Bush. I'm not sure.
No. You're right. I mean, you probably saw this, but we knew there were similar programs under Bush. He just wasn't going to use it to blame the Second Amendment. It was mainly to destabilize Mexico and shut down certain cartels that weren't laundering their money with the right people. But I predicted about 3 or 4 months ago, you may have missed it, that when they finally called Holder up, he'd say, hey, Bush did this too, watch out. He did that. He said, this extends back to Bush under another name. And that at that point, that's when ISIS said, okay, it's now up to the White House to discipline you if they see fit. I'm done. They said, look, guys, we're going to bring down the whole house. Because obviously Iran-Contra stuff didn't end in the 80s, and it didn't start in the 80s. It was going on in Southeast Asia. This is just more Iran-Contra crap.
Alex, the thing that amazed me in line with that, and I have a theory, as I told you before, in my dream job in my science fiction movie is going to be, I'm going to be the psychologist general, like the attorney general or the surgeon general. I'm going to be the psychologist general, and I'm going to affect the collective mentation, the mental perception of a country, and I'm going to use tried and true cases like habituating and generalizing. And there was a rule that I talk about on Lionel Media, and I've said it a million times. If you're going to do something that is in the open, number one, and have it be so egregious, so awful, so amazing, so that you can use the egregious nature as a defense. To wit, Mr. Holder or anybody says, wait a minute, are you suggesting that I, the Attorney General, deliberately allowed for weapons to be sent to Mexico and then back, knowing the lives what you do is you say exactly what happened, but in a way that suggests, what are you, nuts? Then you also do this one. Why do you know that if it ever got out, do you know how many people would be involved in a conspiracy of this nature? People can't keep their mouths shut, John Kennedy notwithstanding. MK Ultra notwithstanding, Operation Ajax notwithstanding. And what you do is you basically say, so if you're ever caught, not that you would, but if you're ever caught with another woman or robbing a bank, holding a gun with a mask and the money, you say, wait a minute, are you suggesting that I would be so crazy as to be standing here with a gun and the money and a mask in a bank? Are you suggesting? And then people say, you've got a point. That's exactly what happened. NDAA. I cannot believe how egregious, that's my word for today. And by the way, Alex, this is the greatest thing ever. Maybe, I'm sure you caught this. President Obama said, I am not going to allow signing statements anymore. I'm not going to do that. Either you veto it or you sign a bill into law, and that's it. These signing statements, this unitary executive nonsense, this is going to stop with me. Okay, so what does he do? He signs a signing statement, but the signing statement doesn't say, I'm not going to follow the law, which is kind of what Bush did with the torture laws or whatever. He said, I sure do hate signing this. It really pains me. God doggone it, I wish I didn't have to sign this, but I will. So it's the first signing statement I've seen that instead of limiting the jurisdiction that he's going to apply, he almost is contrite. He apologizes. I'm sorry. But this authorization is so doggone good, for the troops and the country that, doggone it, all right, I'm going to sign it. It's like a lover's note, apologizing, signing statement. And when you talk about signing statements to the American people who have the attention span of a gnat, who want to hear about Kim Kardashian or sports or I don't know what.
Well, Lionel, we also had him saying that he was going to veto it, then the fake debate saying it doesn't affect citizens, which they did just so we couldn't form opposition, and then the senators come out and go, damn right, it's for citizens. We're going to lock you up. And if you ask for a lawyer, we'll say, you don't get a damn lawyer. I mean, bizarre. And then you've got Lindsey Graham going, you know what? It is for citizens. We want you to be afraid. And if you ask for a lawyer, no lawyer for you. Shut up. I mean, pumping his fist, sweating. I mean, this is like watching Mussolini on a power trip or something, Lionel.
Alex, how many times did you show the clip of Senator Levin saying, hey, don't look at me. White House wants this in. I'm convinced. I heard somebody on your show call them fluoride heads or something. I don't know what. But the part of the brain that allows for cognition and understanding, maybe that auditory cortex, is missing in people. Whatever that alarm bell is, wait a minute, hold it. What do people need to hear about our history with internment, with Abu Ghraib, with habeas corpus? I mean, seriously, what do people do? Now, I got to tell you one thing, too, which I've just got to, just amazing. The thing, you have won. I think you said it, or somebody in your show one time said you only catch flack when you're over the target. Dr. Paul has been saying the same thing since day one. He has never veered. So Ron Paul, all of a sudden, they said, oh, look at this doddering old guy. Look at this avuncular grandpa, like, yeah. Well, all of a sudden, he starts catching on. And then you have, it's almost like Stalinist Russia or the Soviet Union. You've hit it because they say he's crazy. Alex, in this country, that is the greatest compliment. You're crazy. You're a lunatic. You're out of your mind. Because that means they can't respond to any of your issues. They just use these little throwaway lines, and that means you're over the target. Exactly. Alex, when you're playing golf and somebody says, now, hang on a minute, I've got in my bag here the USPGA golf rules. You say, wow, that's great. I'm really impressed. Or, I'm watching this baseball game, and I happen to have the official rules of baseball. Ooh, because on a sports show, you will not be allowed to say word number one if you don't know the fundamentals of a game. But under American politics, in our system, if you pull out the Constitution, just like you did the rules of golf or baseball, you're looked at some kind of a hair splitter, a nut, some lunatic. Alex, you cannot get into the school board, dog catcher, water control without swearing fealty and allegiance to the Constitution.